Um, the U.S. inflation hit a 40-year high of 7% back in January. Now, officials in the Biden administration have sought to place the blame squarely upon monopolies that are manipulating the prices. Raising the specter of monopolistic price manipulation, the White House has encouraged the Federal Trade Commission, also known as the FTC, to investigate the matter with the possibility of enhanced enforcement. Um, Not only is the allegation entirely without merit or any evidence, but it misses the underlying causes of inflation and represents nothing more than what we refer to as political scapegoating. Now, the allegations um, also ignore the reality that cracking down on large companies might result in higher and not lower consumer prices, which does not help the inflation. Now, rather than blaming large companies, the administration should pursue policies that could have a real impact, notably cutting government waste, easing up on the tariffs, and incentivizing domestic production. Now the White House's misguided belief that large companies are driving inflation was made public back in November 2021, when Biden had sent a letter to the FTC chairwoman Lena Khan, alleging that mounting evidence of anti-consumer behavior by oil and gas companies. He then instructed the FTC to bring all of the Commission's tools to bear it if you can uncover any wrongdoing. Now, Biden later issued the same instructions to the Department of Agriculture. I'm basically ordering them to investigate large meat packers that control a significant share of poultry and pork mandates in the markets and everything like that. Now, despite Biden's allegations against large companies, the economists are skeptical that antitrust enforcement would lower any prices at all. In a survey of the economists from America's top universities, only 5% of respondents agreed that antitrust interventions could successfully reduce the U.S. inflation over the next year. Additionally, only 7% of economists had said that a significant factor behind today's higher U.S. inflation is what we refer to as dominant corporations in the uncompetitive markets taking advantage of their market power to raise the prices. Now, President Biden's desire to use antitrust enforcement to lower inflation ignores the reality that it is being driven by a few goods and services in highly competitive markets specifically. Now, used cars, which saw prices increase by 34%, energy saw their prices increase by 33%, and gas saw a 58% increase. Now, while these sectors saw significant increases in prices, they are also among the most competitive. Now, for example, the gasoline sector, 5 large companies operate in the U.S., and no single company owns more than a 12% market share. Now, the used car market is also highly competitive, and the top 10 used vehicle retailers contribute to less than 10% of the sales for used cars in the U.S. Now, the energy market is also highly competitive, with numerous providers existing in the marketplace and offering consumers multiple energy sources. The highly competitive nature of industries driving inflation shows that antitrust enforcement is simply the wrong tool um, to um, to lower prices for consumers, and the administration needs to address the supply side issues and not the market concentration. Now, Biden's allegation that large companies increase the consumer prices also ignores the economic reality that they routinely offer lower prices too. Now, when Amazon purchased Whole Foods back in 2017, the tech giant used its supply chain and purchasing power to cut the prices. Similarly, when Facebook acquired WhatsApp, it cut the annual subscription fee, allowing consumers to access secure mobile messaging for free. Now, the example for Whole Foods and WhatsApp show that large companies can lower prices for consumers rather than raising them. However, it also raises the possibility that cracking down on large companies could see consumers paying more for goods and services, further inflating the prices. Now, while encouraging federal agencies to investigate the practices of large corporations may be politically smart move, that once Biden's low approval ratings and given Biden's low approval ratings and growing concern over inflation and the state of the economy, it is clear that cracking down on large companies would do little to alleviate inflationary pressures. In fact, enhancing the antitrust enforcement might have the inverse effect, rather, and also further limiting the effectiveness of antitrust enforcement to combat inflation, is that inflationary pressures are emerging from highly competitive markets. Now, rather than scapegoating these large corporations, Biden should perhaps acknowledge this reality, and once he does, he might be able to address the real causes of high inflation and diminishing the consumer spending power. Now, if you want, now if you like the video, get the video, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, RVW King, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And thanks for listening. And if you want to further support my work, and I have on my about thing for Facebook. If you click on it, there's a Patreon link, so you can contribute to Patreon if you want to support my work even further. But have a nice day.